Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with Wrestling with Regret. I'm joined by WWE Hall of Famer, don't piss him off, ain't he great? He's the chosen one, former multiple-time world champion, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how you doing today in Manchester?
Am I going to regret this?
I hope not.
Not regret it or regret it.
Well, I guess it depends on what spelling you use.
I like to spell.
Yes, that's true.
Did you know that?
I've heard good things.
Go ahead. Let's go. Just
But,
kidding.
yeah, so-
I appreciate it. No, having a great time. MediaCon, off the heels of StarCast. Our business is evolving, to say the least, but it's pretty cool. I'm obviously here with Global Force and Fight, and we are headed down a pretty unique path because the streaming side of things is just exploding.
I was going to ask you about that because you've lived your life in the wrestling business and you've seen a lot of change. So, in your own words, what are a couple of the biggest things you've seen change about wrestling in general?
Well, you have to go, from the territory days, which was pre-cable television, and then cable television came on and completely changed the way in America business was done, and then as it's evolved through that, it obviously, and the story was told last night, Martin Goldsmith, the guy who I inducted last night, he went into Vince's office, basically made American wrestling a huge export, because before those times, there was wrestling in Japan and Puerto Rico and Germany and all around, but they basically made U.S. wrestling an export, and so that was the sort of the next generation of things. And then 3 or 4 years ago, when the WWE launched the WWE Network, fundamentally changed the business, because then it went from a pay-per-view model on a monthly basis to now a subscription-based model. But as we see things roll along with StarCast and All In and Fight TV, the technology is unreal. And right here in Manchester, this is broadcast all over the globe. If you have a smart device, and there are people in India watching it, because I got a text from a buddy of mine in India watching it, and I said, "Don't you have anything better to do?" And he said, "No, I'm enthralled by the Hall of Fame panel last night," and it was just really cool how, like you said, the business is evolving. And you're asking me, a guy who's been in around the business my whole life and 32 years actively, the streaming side of things is fundamentally changing things.
Talk about, All In, StarCast. You were there for all that. You got to witness the culmination of this huge, what some people are calling a movement in professional wrestling, especially more on the independent scene. Like, what was your biggest takeaway from being there the whole weekend in Chicago?
To me, nothing happens overnight. The overnight success is somebody who's been banging it out for 10 years. And I kind of think that the independent circuit, so to speak, in this country, I witnessed it in 2003, 2004, right up the road in Doncaster. I came through the curtain after wrestling AJ Styles, and that night I wrestled AJ. And when he walked through the curtain that night, they knew every word to his song, and we were little old TNA back in the States, just a pay-per-view only company. But it sort of showed how the business was evolving. And now 15 years later, just how the Bullet Club, the Bullet Club was started by Finn Balor, that whole movement. And now you fast forward several years, and the Young Bucks. And so, like I said, nothing happens overnight, but man, All In and StarCast, and I think history will record itself that StarCast, in essence, I don't say equal as important. That can be sort of taken out of context, but on some level, the panels, the shows, StarCast didn't have one wrestling match, and it was an incredible weekend. Wrestling fans were packed into that convention, and All In, and you had Rey Mysterio, you had in the main event, you had the Young Bucks, who are obviously the Americans, but work for a Japanese company as well. You had Rey Mysterio, a megastar. You had AAA wrestling stars. You had Joey Ryan. You had an NWA title match. Just the business in general has blossomed into that, and I think it's been a long time coming. Several years ago, 2014, 2015, I made a statement that I think we're on the cusp of a boom. I might have been a little bit premature, but not much, saying that as things rolled along and the technology and social media, because social media dominates. I've got 5 kids. They don't watch TV anymore. They don't watch Disney Channel. They just don't, my kids couldn't even tell you a radio station. It's all streamed. So just the world has evolved, and the wrestling business is rapidly evolving into a much, much closer knit society.
Do you think we are in a boom right now?
On many levels we are. and boom, by me or you saying there's boom, that connotates that there's valleys and peaks, ups and downs. So a boom would be up on the stock market, and a valley would be down. And a cyclical side of business, I think a lot of things, the wrestling mindset dictates those valleys. But I think technology and social media has definitely it's on an upswing, and boom may connotate that we're at the top of that peak. I don't think we're anywhere close.
Talk to me about, Global Force Wrestling still happening, still a thing. I know you're in the midst of a lawsuit with Impact. I don't know how much you want to talk about that right now, but where do you see Global Force Wrestling going in the next, 5-10 years?
Well, we're certainly not going to talk about what you just referenced,
okay.
but no, Global Force, we came out going for it sort of goes part and parcel, just what I'm talking about. The model of getting a TV deal, the end all be all, is pretty apparent in the United States that Vince has. We'll call it the NBC networks, that whole family, and now he has the whole Fox family. So really, you have Viacom and ABC left, which makes the window much closer, because now it's not just media conglomerates owning a broadcast network. They own broadcast, they own cable, they own another cable station, then they own this streaming service. So it's all one big media family. But back to your question about Global Force, we are an organization. We're promoting the NWA 70th anniversary show. So myself, Global Force, we got to evolve with time. So, Global Force Entertainment has always been the name of the company, Global Force Wrestling. When we do a wrestling product, just like the NWA show, it's Global Force Wrestling. When we do a StarCast branded event, which has no wrestling involved, it's Global Force Entertainment. We're talking to some music organizations that we're going to help promote and market them. So I'm a promoter at the very core of it, and next year with Fight and Global Force Wrestling, we got some pretty cool things in the works, and so I'll leave it at that.
All right. Last question, of course, I think the big shocker was
and what? There's been no comedy. Your viewers are going to be super disappointed.
What are your opinion on the whole Joey Ryan penis druids thing from All In? Give me your thoughts on it, your hot take.
It's funny, I've been called on that. The hot take is, and we got made fun of booking the Johnsons in TNA in 2002. What's the difference between Johnson and the penis druids?
Yeah, separated at birth. But my last question is, one of the big stories the first part of this year, something that many people, myself included, never would have seen coming, was your induction to the Hall of Fame. Did you ever think that was going to happen after everything that's gone on?
So now I see, this is the comedy part. You're trying to make fun. No, I'm kidding. Very humbling. No kidding. All kidding aside, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I've said this interview here a couple of times, said the response, because I've been asked to this audience over here, what was it like? All of that. I got the call the first Sunday of 2018, and to me, it was announced in February, the induction in April. I did the spoken word tour over here in July. I'm back here, StarCast, MediaCon, the NWA show coming up in October, just the day. I mean, the year has flown by. It's been an incredible year. AAA won the Mega Championship title. And all got kicked off I believe, from the Hall of Fame situation. So it's very special, and that night was super special because my family was there. My father was there. Obviously, Karen and the kids were there. So it was a very, very special night.
Excellent. Well, Mr. Jarrett, congratulations on all your success and all your future success for Wrestling with Regret.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Do you regret this interview?
Not in the slightest. All right. For Mr. Jarrett, I'm Brian Zane. I'll see you next time.